Welcome everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful morning today and you're ready to check out this really cool book. I want to share with you the Osborne Illustrated Classics of Huckleberry Finn. This wonderful collection contains 6 beautifully illustrated classic stories retold for young readers. Packed alongside the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, you'll find The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, Kidnapped, King Solomon's Mine, White Fang, and The Phantom of the Opera, with lovely illustrations throughout, and with a luxury padded cover, makes a beautiful gift. I'm going to read aloud just a few pages of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I love this story. Mr. Hyde roamed the streets in Victorian times, where life was respectable on the surface, but dark and dangerous underneath. Robert Louis Stevenson, the author, may have been inspired by a man named William Brodie, who lived a century earlier, highly respected cabinet maker and a master craftsman by day, but burglar by night. Chapter 1. The Story of the Door. It was a cold night in London. The full moon hung low over the city's rickety rooftops, and wisps of fog floated like ghosts through the swayed streets. 2 men strode side by side along a lamp-lit lane, their footsteps echoing around the old walls. Their names were Mr. Utterson and Mr. Enfield. They walked together every Sunday, but they rarely spoke until this night. "You see that door?" Enfield said, prodding his cane towards the dark doorway. "I know a strange story about that door." Utterson's bushy eyebrows rose in interest. "Go on," he urged. "It was a drizzly night last month," Enfield continued. "I was just leaving a tavern nearby when a man came charging over the cobbles so fast he ran straight into a little girl coming from the other direction. The poor child screamed, but the fellow simply trampled over her and kept running." "Surely it was an accident," Utterson said. "Hardly," Enfield scoffed. "Utterson," the man laughed. "I hear it in my head even now, a terrible high-pitched crackle that sent a shiver down my spine." "What did you do?" Utterson asked. "Well, I set off after the man and tackled him, but when I saw his face, I wished I hadn't. His eyes were so dark. They were almost black, and his mouth was twisted into a sinister sneer. I swear he looked like the devil himself." "Come now, Enfield," Utterson laughed. "Surely you exaggerate." "I'm not sure that I do, Utterson. The very sight of this man made my stomach turn. Still, I composed myself and dragged him back to the scene of the crime. The girl was crying, and her family yelled for the police. How did the fellow react to that?" The man's face broke into a vicious smile. He told that he wished to avoid a scene and offered the family £100 to remain silent about the incident. Did they accept? Utterson asked. They did. The sinister figure led us to this very house, where he produced the money and simply tossed it in the ground. Then he turned and slammed the door in our faces. Enfield and Utterson continued strolling through the gaslight. I tell you, Utterson, Enfield said, never in my life have I met such a fiend. I am still haunted by the memory of his ghoulish face and brutal manner. Well, there you have it. If you want to read more, you're going to have to buy the book. The author, Robert Louis Stevenson, in 1850 through 1894, was born in Scotland. From a young age, he suffered fevers brought on by the cold Scottish weather. So he spent much of his life overseas. His travels inspired him to write plays, poems, and popular adventure stories, such as Kidnapped and Treasure Island. These made him one of the most famous writers of the 19th century. He died aged 44 on a small island in the Pacific Ocean. So in the back of the book, when you purchase this beautiful illustrated classic, the Usborne has nicely put all the authors and a little snippet of why they wrote the stories they did. So it's really nice that it is maintained and kept intact for young readers to read and enjoy. Really, really good book, and I highly recommend it. This book is $19.99, and you could visit my website at k4699.myubam.com. Again, k4699myubam.com, and order it today.